G'day folks, and welcome to this introduction and guide and playthrough of Kingdoms Forlorn. Welcome to Wise Guy History. So this is the latest publication from Into the Unknown. It is a very close successor to Aeon Trespass Odyssey. In this guide, I'm going to get started with a campaign. I have played through the Learn to Play. I will talk about this in a moment. This is like a 2 to 3 hour tutorial. Okay, very good, very comprehensive, but quite robust. It is 43 pages long. It is great for getting the basics established. Have completed that, have moved on, now starting a full campaign, which I'll be talking about. There will be minimal spoilers here. The type of spoilers you may encounter are the kind of things like you'll see in the opening pages of your character books. I'll be mainly going through sort of the setup, the vision, the delve phase. I may not have time to get to the sort of encounter, clash, battles in this video. So we'll see how we go. But as I said, minimal spoilers, just the kind of stuff you'll encounter when you're otherwise sort of starting a campaign. And there will be some map tiles which you may also see. But again, these are really the starting things. There's nothing really secret or spoilery to a great extent about it. It's stuff you would otherwise see when you're starting the game in the first hour or so anyway. So if you've recently picked up your copy, or if you don't know much about this and you haven't really delved in, I will say this is a heavy game. This is a 100-page rulebook. This is a rulebook that comes with the game. You can also jump onto the Into the Unknown Studios website and download a PDF copy of their rule. Now, because this is a heavy game, and because there is a lot of rules referencing, I would highly recommend you download a PDF copy of that rulebook. It's searchable, so you can search for keywords, key phrases, key rules you want to check. If you like to have hard copies with you, print off a copy of that PDF, because I can tell you right now, this rulebook is going to get a working. 100 pages, a heavy game, a lot of referencing. I go straight to the end here, and I'll point out the index is superb. 4 pages, quite detailed. Every time I've need to find a rule, I have searched for the key phrase, and it has taken me straight to the section I was looking for. I have never had to spend more than a minute, couple of seconds trying to find what I was after. The other initial barrier is this keyword list. So a lot of the cards, a lot of the events, a lot of the heroes, the knights, the monsters, etc. refer to key words. And there is an 8-page, 8-page keyword list. Keywords are a large part of gameplay. It'll say, for example, what's quite common in the overcome, for example, or gang up. So where is the gang up keyword? EFG, gang up. See the box, there's a whole little box here for the gang up rules. So the card will just say gang up 3, and you need to know what gang up means. It's illustrated, it's well explained, but there are a lot of these, so you're constantly referring back to this keyword list. So rulebook is very important. So it's a heavy game, 100 pages, lots of rules going on. Yes, there's also quite a procedural sequence of play. You have to do things in certain orders, and the initial kind of campaigning adventuring phase is quite different to Aeon Trespass Odyssey. In Aeon Trespass Odyssey, you are exploring a large map. You're on the Argo, you're sailing around, exploring. In Kingdoms Forlorn, you are exploring a much more tactical sort of city streetscape environment. So smaller focus, and it works quite differently. Yes, you're still moving around exploring a map, but it's more a city map rather than a big sort of island-sized map, or a whole land. the battle mechanisms, and I will clarify the language I'll use here. So the battle mechanisms is very similar to Aeon Trespass Odyssey, King Death Monster. You have a movement action and a combat action. But they are referred to as either encounters or clashes. So there are two types of combats. An encounter is a very finite, it'll be a very small grid. I have my encounter board just off map here. A very small grid battle, which only goes for one round. And then you'll have larger clashes. And they're larger against a monster or monsters. One of the fascinating developments here is that you are often dealing with groups or mobs of monsters. In the tutorial, for example, you'll fight 8 monsters and you have to sort of kill them off one at a time rather than just one big monster, as often seen in these kind of boss battlers. Okay, so let me talk about the characters. You'll notice I have my 2 player characters here. This is Fleisch Ritter, a Flesh Knight, and I have Parisela, the Quester. They have 2 character boards which hold some of their core information. Their character portrait, and when you flip this over, it has a nice little starter guide. Their basic kind of attributes such as movement speed, can size, heat refresh, and so forth. And then it has their physical, what do we call these? They're kind of their attributes in a sense. Virtue is effectively their health. It's red, it's your health bar. You lose your health bar, you are more likely to die. The green is your passion. P, green, it represents how, in effect, kind of like your rage, how passionate you are about fighting. You get angrier, you get fired up, and as your passion goes up, I'll show you this heroic arc here. As your passion goes up, you unlock special abilities on your heroic arc. So once your passion gets up to 3, you unlock these special abilities here. And you can use each of these rows up to the one you've unlocked on each of your turns during one of your ability windows, which I'll talk about later on. Okay, so passion, it goes up when you attack, and the more you attack, the higher your passion goes up, the more you unlock those special abilities. Your heat. Your heat is a measure of, I guess, your tension. Okay, so as you suffer wounds, this is your wound level here. So the Fleisch Ritter, the Flesh Knight, starts with a maximum health of 11. Okay, so you'll see the little black cube on his player board here is at 11. No, it's actually on 12 to show that it can't go on to 12. His little white cube is on 11. As he suffers wounds, this peril arc tells us what kind of injury cards to draw. So you suffer disadvantages from, well, sometimes there are advantages. When you suffer a wound, when a monster attacks you, it may say suffer some vigor, lose 2 vigor, but you won't necessarily draw a trauma card. You'll only draw a trauma card when a symbol tells you to do so. So let's say you lose 6 wounds. It may not tell you to draw a trauma card. Then you might suffer 1 extra wound. Now, you consult this card and it'll say, well, if you're between 4 and 6 wounds, you draw a major level trauma. And just to give you an idea of what they look like, a major trauma would look something like this. A slime hex, Sunken Kingdom. Perform a curse save. If you fail, you suffer Bane X, where X is the number you failed. Gain the slime condition card. That's a very interesting one. But yeah, they all do different things, and some of them may even be advantageous for you. You may gain extra passion, and so forth. Now, what else was I pointing out here? So as you suffer wounds, your maximum heat level goes up. So you see where the Fleisch Knight has his maximum heat set at 4. This is his starting. Where is it? Starting max heat was 4. Oh, starting max heat was 3. Apologies. So his starting max 3 is here because he has 11 vigor. So this marker is on the 4 to show it can't go above that. And he can spend this heat. He can increase his tension to perform special actions. Usually, shown in his hand here. So he can get a second chance. Let's look at the delve cards instead. When you're about to perform a virtue test or an adventure roll, add 2. So he can take 2 heat to use his knight's prowess. His heat will go up, and he gets his special ability. Okay, so what are the consequences to these things going up and down? Okay, well, obviously your vigor is your health. As it goes down, you are at greater risk of suffering some critical conditions, injuries, even dying if it goes too bad. Your passion, is it passion or is it, I keep calling it passion, but I feel I might be wrong here. It is passion, yes. As your passion goes up, you are more likely to be a prime target. You're out there flailing about, attacking all these monsters, and they're all looking at you going, wow, this guy's looking a bit crazy. So they start to give you more attention. The player with the highest, or the character, the knight, with the highest passion becomes the priority target. The monsters are looking at that character and thinking, yep, we need to sort them out. Your heat, as your tension rises, it is more likely things will go wrong. So your heat level, if it's too high, it might, on some events, trigger a side effect. I can't remember the name of this, but basically high heat has a greater risk of triggering a side effect of sorts. The name I can't recall. Okay, so you don't want your heat to get too high, but there are opportunities to reduce your passion, to heal your vigor, and to reduce your heat. Your heat will recover at the start of each of your turns, so that's not a worry at all. Critically, very importantly, you will also use your heat to re-roll dice. So you can spend a heat to re-roll a dice. You can spend 2 heat to re-roll 2 of the dice you've just rolled. So I love that re-roll mechanism. It adds another bit of tactical flexibility. How do you want to use your heat? Do you want to save your heat to give you re-rolls when it's the monster's turn and they're attacking you and you're trying to evade and you rolled really well and you really want to get a critical? Or do you want to save it for your turn and use that heat to try and re-roll your attack dice where you roll poorly? Ah, yes, I'll use my heat, re-roll, because I really want to get a better result and hit. So I love this heat system. It's a good degree of decision making there. I love the passion system. It's really good. It unlocks special abilities. So you're looking for those opportunities to attack, to increase your passion, to unlock, for example, a power reroll token. Or you might want to get a second break token. Okay, so all these kind of things, this is all sort of the tactical elements starting to unfold already in just the base game. Okay, we also have these cards as well. These are the starting cards. These are basically your special abilities. There are 2 kind of things you're looking at here. You are looking at, and I will reach over and grab this so I can bring it to the camera. You are looking at your starting talents. So the Flash Knight has Refreshing Flash. He can use his Flash tokens from the Knight pool instead of his heat. So I've just explained how heat works. His special ability is he gets his flash tokens which he can use instead of that. And when he attacks, if there are no opening or break tokens in the Knight pool, he places 1 in the pool. Okay, so those of you who have played ATO will be familiar with a lot of this language. If you've never played ATO before, the combat is very cooperative, as you'd expect. But one of the main elements of that cooperation is leaving tokens in the pool. In ATO, I think it's called the Monster Pool. In Kingdoms Forlorn, it's called the Knight Pool. So, Flash Knight. If there are no tokens in the pool, he can place an opening token or a break token. They're the 2 most common tokens you'll encounter early in the game, and they look like this: opening and break. Okay, so an opening token, which looks like the target with an arrow in it, this gives a +1 modifier to your 2 hit rolls. So each of these tokens adds a +1 modifier. You might find 2, even 3 or more, giving you +2, +3 to your 2 hit modifier, making it easier for you to hit the target. Break tokens make it easier for you to wound the target. So once you've hit the target, you draw a body part to see where you're hitting, and you roll the power dice to determine how many hits you scored. A sword is a hit, a chalice is a potential hit, and the dove is something else that I've forgotten, which is also a possible conversion. So the swords are easy, they're just direct hits. If you roll a chalice, you are able to convert any tokens in the night pool to their effect. So if I roll this, and this is in the night pool, I can create a break, which is one additional hit. So it's a potential hit. Obviously the swords are the best, and where did that double sword go? That's obviously the best result because it's 2 instant swords. You don't need any tokens to convert. But that's basically how these tokens work. You'll add them to the pool. You'll often be adding these to the pool at the end of your turn in what's called your second ability window. So the Flash Knight will attack, he will do some damage, maybe not, but at the end of his turn, he will look at his heroic arc and leave his choice of opening or break, based on his current passion. Obviously in his first turn, he might just be here, so he's leaving either an opening or a break for the next player to come along and use that token to be easy to hit. And that tactical kind of cooperation where one player might go first specifically because they can leave lots of tokens for the next player to come along to utilize. So poor Parisela over here may not be very good at wounding. She may have a weapon that doesn't wound very well. So she can, get the Fleischritter to go first and so forth. Now, 2-player character knights with all those rules that I've just explained. The Squires are very different. So one of the key differences between Aeon Trespass Odyssey and Kingdoms Forlorn is the use of these Squires. And this is a great idea. I played ATO solo, and it was very challenging at times managing 4 different characters and remembering all the different quests they were on and trying to remember what items they had and so forth. This Squire system is designed to solve that problem. So I can play with just one knight. I can just play with Fleischritter I want with 3 Squires. I'm going to test out Parisela here because nobody in my party is playing this, so I'll be playing Fleischritter normally, and I'm just going to test out Parisela because it won't have any consequence to other players' advancement. And then I'm going to add 2 Squires. So the Squires are under my control, but they're almost semi non-player characters in the sense that I still determine what I want to do with them. I move them, I attack with them, but they follow a much more streamlined battle sequence of play. They don't have weapons. They don't have really special abilities. In effect, I just move, I attack, and then I draw from this deck called the Squire Metal deck. When I roll to hit, I just flip a card to see what the roll is, and then when I roll to wound, I determine what my power is and what the potential is. If they are targeted in battle, I roll to see how many hits they evaded. None. And of course, there may be special abilities down the bottom there as well. So these Squire Metal cards are a much quicker, streamlined way to resolve what can be a slow, burdensome combat system when you've got a lot of cards, a lot of items, a lot of weapons and armor and special abilities to deal with. Instead, Bianca, the foolhardy Squire, let me show you her face. There she is. Bianca, the foolhardy Squire, has her attributes as well. So she has 10 health. Have I set that up correctly? Yes. She has 2. Yep, I've set that up. And then I've got Ralof, the eager Squire. Now he has also got 10 health, 2 maximum. Yep, I'm all set up. Okay, now the player characters use miniatures. So this is, what's his name again? The Fleischritter. But the NPCs use standees, and these are the best standees I've ever seen. Really thick, sturdy, solid, and weighty. They're almost like the weight of a solid chess piece. So look great. That's her front side. And there you go. They have a different art on the reverse as well. And I like that. So during the tutorial, we had 2 characters, 2 Squires, and the Squires really stand out. You can really clearly see your characters. These are unpainted. They will be painted soon. Okay, so look, that's your character. So let me talk about their weapons. So in the tutorial, you will have your knives, And for the campaign startup, you get your knives plus this is Parisela's special weapon, basic weapon. She starts with a militia Morgenstern. I'm sorry. Now, what do these mean? Okay, because it might take a while before I get to an encounter, unlikely in this video, let me run through how these work. When you attack, you choose a weapon. Now, I'm going to choose the knives because that's what you'll pick in the starting, in the tutorial. That's what you'll have in the tutorial. It will tell you how many dice you roll on the attack. In this case, 1. Whenever you roll dice, you always include the 1 white dice. So if you're rolling just 1 dice, you'll be rolling the 1 white potential critical dice. This is the dice you're looking at for critical rolls, that little symbol there. But the knives have a special ability, and it's that they can be wielded with 2 hands, you can see that on the bottom here, for +1 attack dice. So I take my critical dice, I take a black dice, and I'm rolling 2 dice. Weapons may have a positive or even negative to hit modifier. In this case, the modifier is 0, so I don't have to worry about that. I then look at the monster and bear with me while I just reach around and grab the Ironcast Dead, because these are the monsters that you will encounter in the tutorial. So you'll encounter these level 1 Ironcast Dead. Let's see if that pops up on the green screen. Yep. Okay, so here's their level 1 attributes. They have a movement of 5. They have 7 wounds, 1 wound each for each monster, and don't worry too much about this. Basically, so this is their to hit. Sorry, not movement. This is their to hit number. So we need a 5 or more to hit. We roll the dice, a hit and a miss. Now again, I could just burn a heat to re-roll that, and it's another miss. You can only ever re-roll a dice once, but this is the number you're looking for, the to hit. Okay, so where were my knives? Okay, so once I hit once with my knives. The red number on an item indicates how many power dice you get per hit. So in this case, 1 hit, 1 power dice. And I won't bring it up because it's too far away, but who were we rolling with? Parisela here always adds an additional red dice. Okay, I will bring closer so you can see that little red dice in the bottom right corner. She always adds 1 red, so she'll be rolling 2 red dice to wound. At this point, we draw a body part for the monster we're attacking. Now, in the tutorial, you're fighting a mob, and each separate monster has a body part attached to it. You flip that card over, it determines an AT, which is basically its sort of armor toughness level. It might be a number ranging from 2 to 5. Let's say you rolled that. That's a terrible miss. If there's a break token, Parisela could convert that to a hit, but that's still only 1 hit when she'd likely needed at least 2, if not 3 or more. That's what's called a full miss. Now, monsters will react. If you cause a full miss, they might counterattack you. If you fail to wound, there might be another effect, and so forth. I won't go into any more detail on the encounter, but basically, that's what the items do. That's how you attack. So these abilities, these attributes on the items are pretty important. Looking at the militia Morgenstern, only 1 dice, but with a +1 modifier, and if it hits, it's 2 red dice. It also has the ability, if it's wielded 2 hands, +1 wound, basically, +1. It's not called a hit, it's called a wound, I think. And it has break 1, but it's cumbersome. The cumbersome effect means, at least in ATO, it means that once I've used this item, I have to exhaust it. And I can't use it again until I unexhaust it. Unexhausting just means I either forego my movement or my combat. Now, if I'm locked in combat, I might forego my movement to ready that item again. I'm pretty sure it'll mean the same thing in Kingdoms Forlorn, but again, this is really good. Cumbersome during the second, if you successfully wounded with this weapon, exhaust it. Yes, treat as a voluntary exhaust. Okay, so that's about a 25-minute intro to the characters and what they're doing. You will also notice, okay, the characters have clue cards on them. This is left over from the tutorial. So we use Fleischritter and these 2 squires in the tutorial, so they have their clue cards and clues. Clues are another new feature Well, they're implemented differently. There are clues in ATO, but in Kingdoms Forlorn, you are collecting clue tokens through various sources. And as you can see, Fleisch already collected 6 different clues over the course of that tutorial. Our Squires were a bit lower, and you are collecting these. In the tutorial, I think you spend them once, but in the full campaign, I'm led to believe that you spend them on your investigations. Okay, so now we get to the core of the game and what you're actually doing. When you are beginning a quest, which I'm about to do, you choose just one of your knights to go on a quest. Now, in this case, I'm going to choose Parisela because as I said, she's kind of like the character that we won't use much. So I don't want to sort of advance the story too much without the rest of my party here. She'll be going on the quest, which means the other knights in the party will just be investigating. Only one knight can have a quest. The others have to either investigate or free roam. Free roam is a way to gain items and experience, but investigations are a way. Here you go. Investigations here are a way to kind of advance your story in other way. To complete, all right, here we go to another element of the game. Every knight will have this knight sheet, and there are 5 chapters in your campaign. You must complete a quest and 3 of the 5 available investigations. Okay, so you can't just quest with the same knight over and over again. Once they've completed their quest, they're done. You want to pass that responsibility over to other knights so that this knight can then complete their investigations while somebody else advances their quest. Now, ideally, if you've got sort of a 4-player party, which is the ideal number, you can have one person questing while 3 investigate, and then they rotate. Okay, but look, there are various ways you can manage that. Like I said, I've got 2 Squires here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, before we do any further, I've kind of jumped ahead a bit by setting up the players, but let's read the prologue for Parisela. And some lovely art there, that's what she looks like. She seems to be kind of quite a tough, tanky knight. She has the highest vigor of the 4 knights that we've encountered so far, that we've looked at. A pious man died today. Blood drips from the grisly display in thick oozing droplets that splatter onto the dirt below, forming a puddle that has already started to stink. The man, a former priest of the All-Father, had been stripped in a humiliating ritual, then strung up between 2 crossed timbers, lifted feet first into the air to dangle out of arm's reach. And then, once he'd been hoisted into a position, he was split, sawed in half from groin to navel before the perpetrators had stopped, leaving the wretch bleeding, the gruesome act half done. It's almost a certainty that the half-finished nature of the scene is intentional to make a mockery of the true moment from the torn book. Parisela glares up at the ghoulish rendition of the splitting of the sword man, her rage boiling beneath her skin. A gauntleted fist clenches tight enough to make the worked steel creak, and it's all the young woman can do not to growl in fury. Her eyes glance down to the puddle beneath the dead priest to see the tool that was used for this blasphemy. Not even a proper replica of the saw itself, but just a farmer's rusted, insufficient hand tool. A hand claps down on her shoulder, and she turns to face the stern features of her superior, the High Quester, Nicodemus. Focus, Parisela, he chides. I know what you're thinking, but we can't let anger cloud our minds. Think and look for clues. We must find who did this. Parisela looks beyond the old man, seeing the crowd staring owlishly at the grisly display. Whatever the culprits wanted, the act is already taking root in hearts, spreading a message. A message that the church may not be as untouchable as once thought. A blessed word is threatened. A wave of anxious, determined energy rises in the young caster's heart. She must root out these blasphemers, these sinners, wherever they are lurking. It is her divine duty. Her eyes lift from the crime scene into the churning wall of grey that lurks past the village edge, the deep fog. If there was one place a heretic could hide with near complete immunity, it would be the lawless realms of the kingdoms forlorn. That's the first place she'll start looking. And thus begins the tale of Parisela. Mark the prologue box on your night sheet. You've unlocked the first chapter. So we mark the first box on Parisela's prologue sheet. Then proceed to Knight setup on page 3. Okay, so page 3, her special rules, fairly straightforward. She uses Zeal token. Fleischritter uses Flesh. Parisela uses Zeal tokens. They're quite similar, but it'll be specified by Zeal. So she will likely have cards that let her spend Zeal, I think. I'm kind of guessing. Okay, I have set her up. She has some starting virtues. Okay, so she's 1 bravery, 1 insight, and 2 tenacity. Hard to see on the sheet because it's so far away, but I've marked those in. Basically, you'll conduct a virtue test. It might say you find a big rat walking down the street, conduct a bravery 8+ check. She needs to roll and get more than 8 with a +1 modifier for her 1 bravery to the die roll. In this case, 2 + 1 is 3. She needed 8 or more, she'd fail. She also has what's called a rapport boon. So over the course of the campaign, characters will develop a rapport with each other. I don't know how that's going to happen, but basically you will track that on your night sheet with your rapport. Once you have coloured in 3 hearts of rapport, you gain the rapport boon from the player from the knight you have that rapport with. In other words, because you're so friendly, they give you a special benefit. We also have what's called an exploration cipher. In this case, XX07. Don't worry, not a spoiler, that's just a basic code. Through the course of the campaign, Parisela may be directed to specific paragraphs. They might say 3107. So Parisela will consult paragraph 3107 of her night book. Now this is Parisela, this player's personal night book. Only they have access to this. It's a contrast to ATO. Well, it's a bit of a contrast. In ATO, there were full campaign books, and at times, players were directed to read special memories. Okay, but they're all in a common book. So you might read a personal memory and then pass it on to somebody else who read a personal memory. Okay, and you may have, anyway. This Kingdoms Forlorn puts all that information within the one personal book. Now I'm going to show you one of the best parts of this game. One of the best parts. Parisela's, all her components go in a nice little box which she can close at the end of the day's adventuring and store away. When you start up the next chapter of that adventure, or the next time the party meets together, there it is. It's all in that little box for her to brilliant. It's such a simple and practical and valuable solution to storage problems in this game. Okay, so she also has, as I said, she has her techniques. These are her sort of abilities. Most of these are common for all the characters at the start, but she will unlock more. The others are in her character box over there. She also has her knives and her militia Morgenstern, and she's ready to set forth. Choose which knight will resolve their quest first. It's going to be her. And which ones will proceed with the investigations. That'll be the Fleischritter. And then see chapter 1 on page 6. I know I already feel that these books are going to work out as well. I don't think there are PDF copies of these online, so they are smaller, but I think there's going to be a bit of wear and tear for these as well. Okay, so Parisela is commencing her quest. It's called On the Hunt. She needs to venture into the Principality of Stone, which is the same environment where we completed the tutorial. And she needs to be aware of the undead, vassal, and blood. Okay, so some keywords that she needs to be aware of. All right, you are summoned to the chapel within the Fog Watch Fortress grounds, where you find Nicodemus leaning on the heavy oaken table. So I guess I may show there will be spoilers on these pages, and this is a spoiler for the first quest. So if you don't want to know about Parisela's quest, again, it's the very first thing you'll read. It's not much of a spoiler. It may just be a kind of advising you what it's all about. But you might want to tune out now. His brow furrowed as he scans the maps laid out before him. Your eyes briefly flicker to them and back to your old mentor, waiting patiently for him to acknowledge your presence. His weathered, wise eyes lift to you and he smiles. Glad you could finally make it, he jibes. You have a lead? You ignore his attempt at humour. He merely sighs and shakes his head. The Principality of Stone, Nicodemus announces, gesturing to the map. King Edelhart has reached out to us for aid in dealing with a heretic problem hiding out in the dust bowl of his kingdom. I thought Eisenwald was abandoned. Your brow furrows. When the stone curse took the realm, all the people fled. Not all. There are many who are too stubborn for their own good, the old Kester grunts bitterly. And still more who come flocking at the first whiff of opportunity. The border dukes and the duchesses have sent countless into the fog to try and colonise the place left empty. You nod, turning your gaze to the map. Eisenwald, the Principality of Stone. You're hard-pressed to think of a better hiding spot for a cult than the Forlorn realm. Okay, so I haven't really gone into the backstory here. So what's happened is the kingdoms were once united and accessible, and this dark fog descended upon the land, and when it started to lift, the kingdoms were corrupted and cursed, and there's this sort of great evil, and we don't know much more beyond that, apart from the fact that, yes, the kingdoms have been partially released from the fog, but there's still this deep, dark fog between these lands, and yeah, it's pretty much the only way to get anywhere is to pass through this fog. So we need to prepare an expedition into the Principality of Stone. Our starting kingdom tile is L2. All right, so starting kingdom tile, was that L2? Our starting kingdom tile is L2. So all the Principality of Stone cards, this is what they look like. And I will just put them back in a rough order. Okay, so we have, and I'll kind of show you what these. I won't show you the art because that's a bit of a big spoiler. Actually, well, you're not going to remember any of them anyway, unless you have a photographic memory. But 13, 9, 8. I'll just try and put these back in order. L2. Okay, so we have small, medium, we have large, and we have special. And none of them are labelled L2. Principality of Stone. Oh, of course, the L means large. So, okay, 1 second, just confirming I have small, medium, large, extra large, not special. So we're looking for L2, and this is our starting tile. Okay, so we're starting on this, so we don't have to worry about. Normally, when we move to a new tile, we would advance the time, we would suffer some threat, and I don't know what this does yet, and this is a clue indicator that there are clues. I'll talk about that more soon, but first we are in the Allfather's Church. Okay, so this is our starting location. Now you can see around the edge here, these are links to other tiles. I'll set that up in a moment. We'll also see that this is a point of interest. I'll highlight this in a moment. And this is the district indicator. So this seems to be the sort of the craft person's district. So I'm going to set up the tile here, and I'm also going to show you our kingdom sheet. So here we are in the Principality of Stone. Okay, that's what it looks like. And these are its sort of special attributes. These are all points of interest, and we are at the all signs of struggle. Okay, so signs of struggle. Here we can scavenge one, and scavenge one just means take a loot card. I don't know if we do that when we're starting here, but I'll work that out in just a moment. But this is where we start, and rather than using our player character sheets, we use our party character miniature. So this is our party character miniature, and I'll set this up in a moment, but it starts on that sheet. We then set up our surrounding areas. So we have a small 3 face down. We have a small 6 face down. Okay, so the icons here, very hard to see, but there are small icons, medium icons, and then there are also large icons. And in fact, the icons are shown on the back of the card. So this is the medium icon there, and that is the small icon. Okay, so you can tell what kind of card by the icon, and then, oops, don't flip that over, and then the number. And then we need a medium 4. Okay, and basically by moving between these tiles, we will discover the map. We will have little sort of events, experiences along the way. We will uncover sites of interest. We will interact with sites of interest. We'll have clues, various tests to resolve. This is where the adventure takes place before we get to the battles, the encounters and the clashes. Okay, so I have set up, let me get back to the quest. I have set her up on L2, the party's on L2, all 4 of us are on L2, we don't split the party. I don't know if the party is split by other means, but yeah, that's fine. So now let's check out the Fleischritter, the Fleisch Knight. He looks like this. And his prologue begins, skthunk, skthunk. The rhythmic sound of the rising and falling cleaver fills the air in the dingy, crowded kitchen. To one side, a cast iron pot the size of a barrel sits over flames stoked to a painful brilliance, while a hulking figure hunches over the broad oaken table, a wickedly sharp blade flashing in his hand. Uthgar of the Fleischritter order reaches for the haunch of a recently salted bullock, turning his blade to the meat with quick efficiency. His lips part, tip of the tongue tracing a rapidly evaporating line as his taste buds quiver. A little garlic, some Firenze sea salt, heavenly. The door behind him clatters open, a familiar, similarly broad figure muscling her way inside. Across her shoulders, a ball, still wet from the grass where it fell to the huntress's arrows. She slams it onto the table, casting Uthgar's beef aside. Carve this up, little brother. Stop calling me little, Uthgar sighs through gritted teeth. You're only 5 minutes the eldest, and I always will be, the older Fleischritter Hulda leers. So do as you're told and stop pouting. Uthgar considers a rebuttal, tempted to throw the carcass on the floor, but then remembers the apples and the red onions just about to go bad. Maybe sausages? Boar meat cures so well. Fine, but I'm keeping half. A third, Hulda snaps back. I killed it, I get the dragon's share. She watches her brother quietly as he sets to work. She'd never admit it, but he was always the quicker with a knife. Finally, she breaks the silence. Have you heard? Stove Matron Jute is looking for volunteers to escort a caravan into Eisenwald for the resettlement council. Babysitting a bunch of refugees hardly seems like your thing. Maybe not, but the Principality. Have you heard of some of the beasts they've been finding there? The Veiled Blade are offering silver groat's hand over fist for meat, organs, pelts. Uthgar puts his knife down, meeting his sister's eyes. The pair grin, blood starting to race in their veins. Better snag a bigger one than you, she gloats. You're on. Uthgar returns to his butchery, but the excitement of the hunt is already beginning to surge within him. And thus begins the tale of the Fleischritter. Mark the prologue box on his night sheet. That's now been ticked. And proceed to the night set up on page 3. So again, I have got a head start just to get these things ready. He has got 1 bravery, 1 might, and 2 fortitude. He has a rapport boon, which is during encounters, plus 1 accuracy, which is pretty cool. So anybody trying to hit wants to be friends with the Fleischritter. He has exploration code XX23. He has his portrait. He has his talents and arcs. He has got his talents and arcs. He has got his techniques. He has got the set of knives and a chipped axe card, and I'll quickly show you that. So it is one dice, no modifier, but if he hits, he rolls a black power dice. You may be asking, if you haven't seen this yet, what do you mean a black power dice? Yes, there are different types of power dice. They go red, the weakest, black, the second strongest, and white, the absolute monster. So the best result on each of these dice, I think that's going to be the best result on black dice. So you can see black, same number of swords as red, but has additional modifiers. So potential to use those tactics. And white, well, there's lots of things on there, lots of different modifiers. Okay, so he's ready. He gains that. He's ready to set forth. He's not doing a quest because Parisela is, so he will commence an investigation. So he's going to commence Bristleback. Potential reward, a cleaver sword. Okay, so we go to investigation 1. We skip through. Yep, skip through the quest chapters and investigations. Again, spoiler alert for this investigation, but again, it's probably the first thing you'll read for most people starting with Flight Rita. Have you heard tell of Bristleback? The man's face is so deeply wrinkled, it's almost collapsed in on itself. Tough old bugger, as big as a horse. One of your lot tried to take him down. That big sword he was carrying didn't do nothing to the blastering ball. It just got stuck in its hide, and the damn thing gutted him as it ran past. The codger continues his rambling story, but you've already heard enough. Aside from the tantalising promise of some boar meat, that sword sounds very interesting to you. It's high time you sought out Bristleback's lair to see if it really is as terrifying as people say it is. To survive the deep fog, it would certainly need to be. So now we make an investigation mark on our night sheet for chapter 1. So I just mark investigation. I draw a clue card. Collect clues denoting that card to succeed. So this is where I couldn't quite find it, but I think the clue tokens from the tutorial must go away. I don't think we'd keep them. I couldn't quite find it. Where is the other clue card? Ah, yes, it's on Kara. Okay, so we draw a clue card. He wants to click green clues as his primary clue type. So green clues, primary clue type. But he'll also collect secondary clues matching the primary clue type of the person to his right. So whatever primary clue type this squire has will be his secondary. So if it's red, he'll have green and red, and so forth and so on. So your secondary clue is the primary clue of your neighbour. And I've lost my space. Chapter, where are we? Chapter 1. Okay. Draw a clue card, click clues denoted on that card to succeed. And then I put a bookmark in there to show where his quest is at. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is set up the kingdom, and I've jumped up ahead a few steps. So again, we are here, we have our neighbouring areas, not yet discovered, but I'll run through kind of some of the things I did next. So we have all our knights, our knight books, miniatures set up, we've got our party marker set up, we have got our decks. So we have got 4 what are called mortis decks. These are kind of like our wound decks. They're just off camera in the top right. I've set up, and I should point out, so earlier I drew a card, I think it was the slime hex. So this card was specific to the Sunken Kingdom, and I've removed that. So that shouldn't be in those mortis decks. Now is when you do that. They're all together. There's also the loot cards, the Fool's deck, and other clue cards. We have our Kingdom sheet here. And again, this highlights our time, our curse, and our threat. So these are bad. We really don't want any of these to rise. Time will inevitably rise. Hopefully we can keep curse and threat to a low level. A high threat, and I think a high threat means worse things can happen when we have encounters. And curse is used for curse checks to see if we become curse and take I think a bane they're called. Okay, so take the kingdom tiles. I've done that. Starting tile, party marker, our exploration deck. Okay, so this is our exploration deck. It contains various little events that'll happen to us. And then I've set up our monsters. So you may notice, just to the right of our kingdom deck here, we have 4 monster cards. So because this is our first adventure, we consult the monster bestiary and draw basically the lowest level monsters. It'll tell us what to draw. You shuffle these up, draw 4. I've drawn the pumpkin monstrosities, the rat wolves, the ironcast dead, and the pale blood worm. So these are the 4 enemies that we might encounter. I've then placed a token for each on our Principality of Stone district board, and these might rotate around the 4 districts. Okay, so there are 4 districts. There's kind of the royal district, let's call it the artisans district, the harbour district, and the merchant. Oh, they do have names: the noble district, the merchant district, the port district, and the craftsman's district. So they'll move around those districts, kind of, yeah, as prompted. So the monsters are all set up. We have our sort of start. Everything starts on 0. Now we get to the outpost phase, which is kind of the second. Setup's done. Outpost phase, and kind of this is where you prepare for your adventure. Well, you make more active decisions about preparing rather than just doing what you're told. Now, to do the outpost phase, we turn to this is our what is called the Codex of the Kingdom. So we're in the Principality of Stone. So this is the book guiding all the monsters, experiences, events, etc. for the Principality of Stone. There's another one for the Sunken Kingdom and another one for the expansion. You turn to the Outpost phase. This is pretty, you've got some choices to make here. You can do 3 things. Partake in a variety of activities that will give you an advantage. You can prepare your loadout, and when you're ready, you proceed to the delve phase. Okay, so the outpost activities is basically you looking here and deciding what you want to do, where you want to spend your money, what advantages do you want for the upcoming adventure. Now, because we completed the prologue, and we gained some loot from that prologue, we were told at the end of the prologue not to keep the items, but to sell the loot and collect the gold. And we collected 12 gold from that prologue. We won. We got some loot. We got some loot on the adventure along the way as well. We had a total of about 6 loot cards, I think. And so we just sold those, and let me point out what they look like. So these are what typical loot cards look like, and you can either collect the item, which we're told not to do, or sell it based on your level. We're at mob level, so we sold that for the gold as indicated. So we have 12 gold to spend. And quite a few different choices here. But the most important choice is the first one you make, because the first location you visit gives you the early bird benefit. Let me kind of run through what these do. So the Mercenary Guild. If this is the first location you visit, you add 1 random level 2 mercenary to the deck. Then mercenary deck, hide help. You may hire up to 4 mercenaries for this expedition. At the end of the expedition, return those cards to the deck. So let me show you the mercenary deck. Okay, so the tutorial will give you a mercenary. Basically, people with special abilities, almost like a one-off bonus card. So you'll get the warrior in the tutorial. And let me sort of bring that up so you can see it a bit better. This is what the warrior looks like. So this is like the first card mercenary card you'll encounter. In fact, you'll start on side A, and there are two phases to the game. There's a delve adventuring phase, and there's a clash battle phase. If you use this in the delve phase, you reduce your vigor loss. If you use it in the clash phase, you can re-roll your armor roll or gain power re-roll of 2. Once it's done, you flip it, again 2 more abilities, and then you discard it. And most of the others are quite similar. They are, yeah, so there's the warriors, level 2 warrior, level 3, there's a mage, a healer, a rogue, a bard, and a ruin stalker. Looks pretty cool. Their cost to hire is shown in the top left corner. Yep, up there. Okay, so that's what we can do. We could hire at a random level 2 mercenary. Up to 4 mercenaries, and then hire up to 4. The deck consists of all level 1 mercenaries. Okay, so I've got to sort those out, so that might be good. So you can't hire level 2s or level 3s. Okay, so this is what we can hire. These are our choices. The Ruin Stalker, because we're in the Principality of Stone, and all the level 1. And if we go here first, we add a random level 2. And then we can hire 4 of these. They're quite costly, okay? But yeah, so they're kind of like one-off ×2 special abilities. The Scouts Guild, so that's one option, and I might put those aside because I'm sure we'll be using the mercenary deck every adventure. Depending on the scouting type you hire, we gain an additional boon. Okay, so in the tutorial, you'll be told to hire the local urchins, who are a reconnaissance boon. They let you scout out a neighbouring tile, and because they're reconnaissance, we went there first, we lowered our threat level by 1. The Shrine of the Saints. Any knight, there's no early bird bonus for going here, any knight with at least 1 devotion token may discard it to gain a chosen unlocked saints card. We're nowhere near that. Early bird, if we go to the inn, instead of rolling for effect, we can simply choose an effect. Otherwise, we roll a d10 and choose and resolve the corresponding effect. 2 random knights gain a virtue for the duration of the expedition. 2 random knights raise a heat limit by 1. 2 random knights may fortify 2. Now, I haven't encountered that fortify keyword. So again, let's go to the keyword list. It's alphabetical. Let's see what fortify means. If you don't have maximum vigor, gain X vigor. If you have maximum vigor, place a red cube on X on the vigor track. It becomes your additional health. When you would lose health, lose your additional health first. Okay, so basically it's like a top up to your health, but once lost, it's lost. And that would give you, what did I say, 2 extra health points, basically that are 1 use only. Otherwise, a random knight gains 1 passion, and their passion cannot fall below 1. Draw a loot card. Each knight gains gold, where X is the cost denoted on that card. That's pretty cool. Just additional money, basically. Reveal 1 connected kingdom tile. Mark it with a generic token as unexplored. That's basically scouting. Gain a stone key. Okay, so stone keys. You will encounter this in this tutorial. There are many locations throughout the city that are locked, and you need stone keys. You need stone keys to open them, and they may be hard to find. So having a stone key can be pretty cool. It will basically unlock a path that we need to unlock. A random knight raises their Bane limit by 1. When you reach your Bane limit is shown here. You die. So, I mean, hopefully there's not too many Banes in this opening. Famous last words, knock on wood. Or place a chosen resource token on the chosen knight's board. Meh. Or 1 knight gains a Parasite Bait Kingdom card for the duration of this expedition. Okay, Merchant's Workshop. Early bird here. Add a random consumable card of your tier to the merchant deck. Remove that card from the merchant deck. Then the deck consists of merchant cards of your tier and tiers below, blah, blah, blah. You can buy any gear card from the merchant deck. Oh, I like that. I like the idea of getting items. This adds a random consumable, but I don't like I like spending my money on this. I don't think I need to go here first. Add a random consumable. Consumables, I had a quick look through them. Basic consumables, they're okay. They do things like lower your heat. In an emergency could be good. Is it something I want to do first as a priority? Not necessarily. Notice board. The party may sign a contract. Check available contracts depending on your tier on page 9. I do like that idea. I like the idea of getting additional contracts. These are basically additional quests, things you have to do. Go to certain locations on the map. And my thinking is if we can get quests early, if we can get these, contracts early as we're scouting out around the town, delving on each adventure, hopefully we'll come across these things. So the sooner we get the contract, I think the better. But there is no early bird bonus. So no need to go there first. So what am I thinking? I like the inn because it lets me choose. Instead of rolling, I choose the effect. I'm not that keen on the consumable card. The merchant deck consists of all merchant cards. You may buy 5 cards. You may reforge any owned card. You may spend 5 gold to buy a stone key. That's another way. But I like the idea of going to the inn. Roll a die and so the outpost activities. They offer various. They can be resolved in any order. However, first come first serve. The place you have to visit first gives you the early bird bonus. Yeah, so I think I like the idea of the early bird for the inn to just, instead of rolling, choose an effect, stone key. So I've now got a stone key before I even go anywhere. So now I can visit the other locations ignoring the early bird effect. Notice board. Notice board and merchant's workshop. So the notice board begins here. Okay, so this is, we can sign one of the available contracts to fulfill during the expedition. Okay, so that's one expedition only. Contracts are side quests that you undertake. They're extra goals. They'll bring you reward. There is no cost for signing a contract, and they are tiered. So we have mob, and then we go level higher. So basically we have these contracts, either find the missing person, and we get a scavenge 1 as a reward, which is pretty low, or if you have at least 1 clue left, scavenge 1. If you have 3+ clues, scavenge 3. So I like this one better because it has a potential for us to scavenge more. We can potentially get a scavenge 3. So do we sign a contract for an escort service? Contracts are tiered, blah, blah, blah. We only have 1 signed contract per expedition. I like this idea. Normally you dismiss anyone who willingly wants to head into the kingdoms as mad and leave them be, but this person is both mad and rich, which means a solid payday for you. All you have to do is make sure they don't die. Easy, right? We simply escort our charge through the kingdom unharmed. Place 1 of each type of clue on the kingdom sheet. Okay, 1 of each type of clue on the kingdom sheet. There we go. At the start of each encounter, roll a power die for each clue to place them on. At the start of each encounter, battle, roll a die for each clue to place them on matching spaces. They are treated as occupying the space they're on and as possible targets for monster attack. When the clue is attacked, discard it, otherwise return it to the kingdom sheet. When you're about to proceed to any clash, resolve an ambush first, then proceed to that clash. Okay. So we need to keep at least 1 clue here to get the scavenge 1. If we have at least 3 there, we get scavenge 3. I like that contract. So we have signed this contract. That is in effect. I'm just looking for a bookmark to... So the game does come with these bookmarks so that you can place them in page and come back to it later on. So we have signed a contract. So we've done our inn, we've done our notice board. Merchant's deck. So let's go to the merchant's deck now. The merchant deck consists of all merchant cards. all merchant cards of your tier and tiers below. So basically, mob. Here we are, mob tier. Okay, that's it. That's our merchant deck. And all unlocked consumable gear. So I think by unlocked, it basically means mob tier, which gives me either a flickering torch, smelling salts, and this is one of the consumable items that lets me reduce my heat, or crackling stones, which lets me place a break or opening token. That's a pretty good one. Okay, break and opening tokens are the key tactical element early in the game. So, yes, my merchant pool consists of all unlocked consumable cards. And I can buy any gear from the deck, or reforge any owned merchant card. So reforging is basically, I think the chip axe, I can upgrade it to become, I think it's for 5, is that how much it costs? I can spend gold to upgrade this axe to a felling axe. So you can see here, this is the basic side where it says merchant gear, and this is the reforged merchant gear. I think it costs 4 to reforge it. What's the difference? Break 1, commit. Break 1, commit. 1 dice, it's black with an extra wound. 1 dice plus 1, black and red with an extra wound. So that would be great. Having a red and a black dice to wound. First, I have to be honest, the first thing that comes to mind is we probably won't be playing with Parisela a lot, so I probably want to upgrade Fleischritter's. Fleischritter's axe would be great. I mean, 4 gold basically for a +1 modifier and a red dice. That's it. That's pretty good though. A +1 modifier to hit and a red dice. I'm going to do that. I'm going to spend 4 of my gold to upgrade that item. Now you can't upgrade items that you've just purchased. I didn't purchase that, he started with it. So Fleischritter now loses some gold. He has 8 left. Okay, what else do we have in here? That was his reforged item. Okay, some armor might be good. I particularly would like something that gives me a reflex. Okay, so reflex is a special rule. There isn't. Reflex is a special rule that lets you jump out of the way. Okay, so this lets me reinforce 1, or let me show you the items a bit closer. Okay, so full hull, it gives you a shield dice, so you can roll to protect yourself, and to reinforce 1 buffed armor, 1 evasion reroll, and increases your poison limit. I don't think there's much poison in this environment. That's exactly the same. That's the same. Okay, a shield gives me a reroll. I can attack with it. Okay, lets me guard 1. I don't know what the difference is between reinforce and guard. Then we've got some ranged weapons. Okay, so these have, oh no, this is open. Well, this gives you an opening 2. But look, I've just upgraded 2 dice, +1 hit, a red dice for each hit, plus a bonus red dice, full stop. So, you know, if I roll 2 hits with my knights, I'll have 4 red dice, but it is unwieldy. I don't know what that means. Or a bow and arrow, it's cumbersome. Or an arming sword, which creates an opening 2. Look, I might hold on to the rest of my gold for now. Actually, I do have those crackling stones. I'm going to buy those. So they only cost 1. They only cost 1. So he's down to 7 gold. and it comes with 2 uses. So we need, here we go, comes with 2 uses. I can put 2 use tokens, like so. And every time I use this, I place a break or opening token in the knight pool. I can use my movement or combat action to gain 2 additional uses. That's great. So it just comes back. Okay, look, I like that. That's a good item. Okay. Okay, so where have I gone? I've gone Mercenary Guild, been to the inn. No, I haven't been to the Mercenary. I've been inn, merchant, notice board. Still got some money left. I could employ some local urchins, which lets me reconnaissance a tile. I just don't really care. Place 1 additional tile. You get to know what it is. It scouts it out for you, but it costs 3 gold. So I'm not going to worry about that. Don't have devotion tokens, which leaves the Mercenary Guild. So where are those mercenaries? Do I want the Ruin Stalker? Let's have a close look. During the delve phase, during the travel step, ignore single Panzer Gate. So that's basically what you need a stone key for. As long as this mercenary is recruited during the travel step, you may move through short. I like that. So it basically gives me another stone key. Ignore single Panzer Gates. And then later on, you can do it again. Or remove a rubble tile. I like him for 3. Loses the heat, not that keen. After you draw an exploration card, ignore it and repeat the draw. That could be handy. Look at the top battle card, you may put it at the bottom. That could be handy as well. Basically, look at the top battle card. If it's a really tough card, I can discard it. A healer, gain 1 vigor. Each knight may roll a vigor, yep. Not bad for healing. Place the party mark on an adjacent explored tile. It's just a free teleport, basically. Place 1 knight on an empty space. 2 spaces away. That could be good for saving. I've got 7 gold. While this sounds good, I want to save a bit of cash. But I do like the idea of, am I going to need more? Is there going to be more than 1 Panzer Gate blocking me? You never know. Let's buy him. And we'll see if he comes into use. Okay, so that's now bringing me down to 4 gold. That's all the gold, well, large part of the gold from that tutorial benefit, and that's our mercenary deck. All right, so this is a crack in the green screen. This is done now. We're done. Outpost phase. We've got our contract. Excellent. All right. So we have done our outpost phase. We now prepare our loadout. It's time to decide on a loadout. A loadout remains fixed until you return. This basically is where you pick weapons. If you've bought multiple weapons, you can choose which one you'll take with you. You can prepare your arcs if you have different ones. Statistics are all set up. Now choose the number of technique cards. Okay, so here they are. So I have access to 5, but I have a hand limit of 4. So I've got to leave 1 behind. I'm going to leave Second Chance behind. So this is something that could change my life. Save my life, and I'm not taking it. Likewise with Parisela, stand up, reflex. When you deal a wound, gain 3 healing, basically, rushing. If you full miss, place an opening or break token. That's pretty good. So standing up's important. I think I like reflex. Healing or rushing. Healing or rushing? Let's go with rushing and hope we don't have to use healing. So I'm just going full out. Okay. Techniques are marked. Finally, select the gear cards you want. And then we proceed to the delve phase. Okay, so now we start the delve phase. We're crossing the deep fog and entering one of the kingdoms to achieve our objectives. Here is where we are. And I'm sorry, that's probably not most visible, top down. So this, the game is, the delve phase is played in rounds, each corresponding to 1 hour of time on the exhibition clash. Now, I'm not going to play through all of this because I'm already 1 hour in, and this can be really time consuming, but I'll play through some samples to give you a sense of how it plays out if you haven't played the tutorial. Like I said, about 23 pages of the Learning to Play guide go through this. Okay, so the delve steps. First, we decide where we want to travel to. Now, first thing to point out is the small cards reduce our threat. The medium size card increases our threat. The larger cards will increase them even higher. Okay, so we need to decide where to go. Do we want to increase our threat straight away or start to explore? They are all the cards, you'll notice, lead to what's referred to as the Craftsman District. So they're all part of the Craftsman District. This one, okay, the other thing about the size of the cards is they have clues on them. Now, we need to get clues. Our quest is to... Now, hold on a sec. We clues for our other characters. Yes, so just confirming, Squires should have clue cards. So he has a blue, which means that his secondary clue is blue. Parisela's on a quest. He has a yellow, which means that his secondary clue is yellow, and his secondary is... Sorry, his secondary is green, his secondary is yellow. And that one's not used. Okay. So now the Squires are set up. They were mostly set up. And I did find out that Squires can take equip items with them as well. But I won't be doing that. Okay, so now we delve. And I'm kind of tempted just to go straight for this region to get the clues. I'm just going to be focused on clues straight away. Okay, so when you travel, before you travel, you have to resolve the symbols. So the first thing we do is we increase our time by 1 step. Then we increase our threat by 1 step. This next indicator is the deep fog. It's called the deep fog intensity, and it's when we decide to traverse the fog, which we're not doing this yet. And the final thing we do is we collect clues. So whenever you encounter a clue symbol, each knight may gain a clue token, but only if the clue matches any of the clue types indicated by their quest objective. Questing knight. Quest objective. So, I missed a step. So, Parisela should have continued. So we proceed to the Outpost phase when we're ready to begin C001. So we should have read this. The staggering tall interior of the Allfather's Church of Eisenwald, the Eisen Church, a building rivaled only by the monolithic conquest castle itself, stretches far above you, the vaulted ceiling folding together into a distant peak. On that ceiling, many murals of the scenes from the torn book have been painted in vibrant colours that are now faded, crumbling. The years since the fall of the deep fog have not been kind. You turn your gaze back down to the earth, to the nave of the massive cathedral where the last congregation of the church is still gathered to this day. A crowd of supplicants froze in the blink of an eye, the petrification curse having taken them mid-sermon. A grim fate for so many faithful, the curse comes for all. If Stoneface is in your party, he's not. He's one of the expansion heroes. Nicodemus has led a small number of your fellow questers here. As good a place as any to make the base of your operations in the Principality. Now you only need to wait for the King's delegation to right on time. The heavy oaken doors of the church clatter open. Nicodemus enters, followed by a most unusual figure. The king's emissary is a figure clad in what might have been a jester's clothing, bright tunic and velvet pantaloons. Atop their head, the cap and bells, although the tiny brass fixtures make no sound, eerie in their silence. The emissary looks to you, their face hidden behind a white porcelain mask. There's something off about how they move, jerky, unbalanced, as if each limb must be moved consciously. If Kara is in your party, she's not. Saints' blessings be upon you. The emissary manages a jittering bow before swinging back upright. His Highness King Edelhart is always pleased to welcome delegates from the church into his humble kingdom. Nicodemus flashes you a sharp, cautioning glare. Normally you don't care for courtly etiquette, but your mentor has raised you to show respect when warranted. First impressions are everything. Okay, so do we have to choose here? We don't have time to play nice as some bureaucrat. Better to be swift and to the point. You have a job to do. Do we address him brusquely, show him that we're not here to fool around? We'll gain a passion for that. Or we are the face of faith in this land. What the locals see of you, they will apply to all who come after. You would be wise to act with humility and piety rather than bring reproach on the faith and the All-Father's name. Approach him with more respect as a preacher would. Raise our heat limit by 1. Look, to be fair, I think we're going to approach him with respect and raise our heat limit. Just confirming that is our heat limit. Sorry, where is it? 4? Yep, goes up to 5. The limit is what's below, I believe. Hopefully I'm understanding that correctly. And then C003. Okay. The pleasure is all ours. You bow your head, folding your hands in a prayerful gesture. May the sword man's kindness preserve thee. Behind the emissary, Nicodemus nods in approval. The emissary tilts their head curiously, a sound somewhere between a sigh and a huff escaping from behind the mask. You sound just like all the other missionaries the church keeps sending. I thought the questers were supposed to be brash, rude, utter blowhards. They chuckle, turn to walk past you before you can respond. You meet the older quester's eye, but he can only shrug. You decide it's best to just follow the old figure, see what you can learn. So the first time you gain threat during this expedition, reduce it by 1. So we should have reduced it by 1 because we just gained threat. So this should happen first. Then C0004. Okay. I know of the cultists you seek. The emissary moves between the statues infesting the cathedral, their strange stop-start gait surprisingly swift. They've been acting with the Principality for some time now. Our people's numbers are already dangerously thin, so few willing to remain and brave the Principality's recent troubles. Now this group is either recruiting the few loyal citizens we have left, or snatching them off the street in the dead of the night for devils know what purpose. Why hasn't the king taken steps to eradicate them, you ask? A simple request to his holiness, who you would have a score or more PayPal knights at your disposal. Ha! A faint, lilting laughter escaping from the emissary's mask has an odd sing-song quality to it. The king has more important things to deal with than a little sect. We're forced to be ever vigilant against the schemes of the other kings, making sure the walls of steel we built around our nation remain strong. A few insects crawling around inside are of little concern. Now, if you find the lair of these parasites, we'd be more than happy to dedicate our stonemason knights to. You don't spot them, hiding amongst the statues. They've covered themselves in a thin layer of the grey dust that covers every surface of the church. They leap and strike with frightening speed, one dagger plunging into the emissary's chest, another into their gut. Your weapon leaps to your hand, but the attackers are already running, splitting apart to head for separate exits. You hesitate for a moment, long enough to see the emissary's body begin to twitch, then break apart into dozens of pieces, scraps of fabric ripping apart to reveal nothing beneath. The tattered fragments of silk and velvet scurry across the cold flagstones, skittering like insects until all that is left behind is the bone-white mask. Nicodemus looks down at the remnants of the king's emissary, then back to you, before he starts barking orders. The other questers come running, quick to obey. Seal the exits, sweep the halls for any others, smash every statue if you have to make sure they're what they appear. He looks to you and gives a command. Go after these cultists, Parisela. Find them and find out what they know. Do the All-Father's work, child. Saints' fortune be with you. So, Parisela's objective is to hunt down the cultists before they can go to ground. Reveal map tiles S11 and S14. So S11 and S14, okay. S11 and S14. Reveal them and S14 revealed. Okay, so So that obviously connects to 10, and this one to 3 or 9. 3, okay. Like so. So reveal them, but we put, when a token is, when a card is revealed that is unexplored, we put one of these on it to show that it's unexplored. We'll still have to go through the whole sequence of resolving the back of the card. We just kind of have a sense of what's there. Okay. They remain unexplored. Place a Bane token on each of them. A Bane token, okay. These are the fleeing cultists. All right, so this is my main quest. These are the fleeing cultists. There goes some more Bane tokens across the board. Okay, at the beginning of the delve round, draw a minor mortis card. Okay, a minor mortis card. Move all Bane tokens on the kingdom map. Oops, that's a major one. Major, minor. Move all tokens in the direction indicated. If needed, just reveal new tokens. If there are no valid paths, they ignore their movement. So this one is going to move, so they're going to move down. This one doesn't move because there is no down. And this one is going to move towards 2. Oh, it's a large 2. It's a special 2. So it's going to move towards this giant tile. And it says, if needed, reveal, and should be marked with a generic token. Yep, so this is revealed. So we know they're running towards the Royal Plaza. And so I'm going to have to move my terrain up. It'll probably connect like that. And they move towards the Royal Plaza. Oops, sorry, that's unexplored. That's there. And that's also unexplored. Should be marked. The cultists cannot move into sub-kingdoms, although through pansy gates, rubber tokens, or onto a tile with the party marker. If there are no valid parts, they ignore their movement. Yep. If you move the party onto a kingdom with the Bane token, Zeal 1 and discard that token. This is where his Zeal comes in. When you remove the last Bane, see your text. If your time is 8 and you didn't remove all the Bane tokens, see 7. If you fail in any way, see 0008. Okay, so this is where we now, that gives us our main quest now, which is interesting because we've gone in the complete other direction. Which makes me think, 10, so it links, sorry, I have to readjust this a little bit more. It links like that somehow. So that instead of, do I not go for clues? Can I rewind? Instead of heading that way, I think I might head this way, follow my main quest. So I'm not going to, I still advance the time. Threat would decrease, and there's no clues in this area. No worries. Okay, so delve. We have delved. We have resolved the symbols. Now we reveal the tile and place our party on it. Okay, so there we go. It lines up like so. There's no direct path to the plaza from here. Okay, so this is the symbol I was talking about in the expansion. So this leads us to a sub-kingdom, but you need the expansion to get to that sub-kingdom, and I won't be doing that. So this also connects to a medium 8. So there'll be a medium 8 over here, and it connects to 11, which is placed here. And this is the exploration code that I was talking about. So see what it says 29XX. So we can consult our night-specific, I can't remember what it's called, the code XX 3, 7, whatever. Okay, so resolve the symbols, reveal the tile, check the new tile for pars, place the tiles, resolve any encounter spawns and movement. No. Finally, resolve symbols on the face. There are no other symbols on the face for now. Then we draw an exploration card. Draw and resolve the top card. Oh, it is of Stone and Rust. We resolve a kingdom adventure. This is an instant effect. A kingdom adventure. So bear with me, because we'll need the Principality of Stone book. So I've had to skip through quite a few things because the battery's running flat, but hopefully this gives you a sense of how it plays out. I have to wrap it up now, but we would continue like that. We would do our next movement travel step. We'd flip the card over, resolve an encounter, story step, and then repeat and repeat and repeat until we get to the encounter. And yeah, various other steps of the game. So really what I've done, it's an hour and a half, but it's taken me a long time to pause and check rules, but we've done quite a robust setup, starting with the quest and the investigations, have our characters. We've started to map out this quest. We're on our way, and look, we're a long way from our first exhibition and a long way from the full clash. So this gives you a sense of how much investment of time goes into this. And so we're an hour and a half in, but I have been pausing a lot to check the rules and get cards set up and do the little character setup off camera. Look, folks, hopefully this has given you a sense of how these early stages of a typical adventure will play out. I hope to have more to come. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye for now.